I realized I hadn't been directed by anyone in television. I only one person in television that looked like me, that was an adult male Latino out of over 400 episodes of television.
Yeah.
One adult male Latino had ever directed me. And I thought, wow, there's a hole there that should be filled. Because, I remember, doing something and making a choice based on who I am and how I grew up and my background. And I remember the director kind of trying to push me in a different direction and not understanding why I'm making this choice. And wouldn't even listen to why. Like, I was trying to explain, this is why I'm making this choice. Because my character is basically, there are lots of pieces of me in my character. And so I'd like that. I like to, continue that. And this is why I'm making this choice. And to have someone argue with me, it was like, disheartening. And it's because they didn't get it. They didn't understand me.
They don't have your experience.
Yeah. And they may not even have met anybody like me, or at least spent time with somebody. So I thought with, almost 30 years of experience, like, why wouldn't I step behind the camera now that I have that experience, so that other people, younger actors like me, could see themselves on the other side of the camera, and I would understand why they're making the choices they're making. So I felt the responsibility. But I also felt when I was doing this show, Generation Kill.
That was one of your first movies, right? Or first TV shows?
No, I think it's probably the most highest profile one, I think. I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was HBO, right?
That was HBO, yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Band of Brothers.
I didn't do Band of Brothers.
No, because that was before. I'm thinking of time.
But
when did Generation Kill come out?
Oh, 2007.
Oh,
but
okay,
I got offered Band of Brothers, because I think Band of Brothers was 99.
It was.
Like
That's what I was thinking. I had the time wrong on.
Yeah. And that's when I was on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And
yes, which I remember you from. I loved Melissa Joan Hart.
So yeah, I couldn't do Band of Brothers. I was super disappointed, but Generation Kill was, even, in my opinion, like more my speed anyway.
Yeah.
I remember being on set, and one of the directors came to set and just said, "What are we going to shoot today?" And it pissed off the DP and I think the 8-camera operator, and because it had been like that, where there was no plan at the beginning of the day, and
no
a director,
storyboard or anything.
No, and so I thought, wow. And it was also like, I was very lucky to be one of the leads of this show, and so I was privy to some of these conversations, and so I was right there when it happened, and I was like, wow, like, this is an $80 million HBO limited series. If this person can get this job, and they show up to set not prepared, I should be able to get a job like this, like, because I know I'm all about prep.
You're gonna prepare, yeah.
Yeah, so that's when I started thinking, I'm gonna start to shift a little bit and think about getting in that chair.
And that was in 2009.
2007.
That's a long time ago.
2007. Okay. And 2008 is when we started Castle, and it was the second season of Castle. I directed my first short film, and continued to direct shorts and the special features for our DVD sets, and music videos, and then
cool.
Yeah, and I didn't get to direct on Castle because of some old bullshit, if you ask me. But
I was gonna say, I'm sure that I know what that bullshit is.
Exactly. There was that, and I guess because they wouldn't allow one of the people in the show to direct. Someone didn't want that person to direct.
It's hard in a show when because you've got the hierarchy of a call sheet on a set, and I've talked about this a lot for people that the lead of the show is usually number one, and then it trickles down by usually who the studio and the deems the most important people down. And
I love that.
The trickle down, isn't it fun?
I
hate it. I hate it so
much.
It's so
hierarchy.
Stupid. It's so great. But if someone on the bottom or lower down in the regulars on a show wants to direct, but nobody above them wants to direct, it's this weird thing where, like, well, you can't do it before they do it. And or we don't want them to do it, or so then you can't do it. There's so much politicking that goes into all of that, for sure.
I was lucky that they didn't kind of feel that way or do that on This Is Us. Like, I think from the beginning, I think when I first, because they shot the pilot when we were still doing Castle. So I came on for the second episode. I wasn't in the pilot, but, right when they asked me to come on the show, I got a call from my agent said, "Hey, Ken Olin wants to have a meeting with you," who is the producing director of the show. Yeah. And I went to Paramount and went to his office, and he sat me down and he was like, "So I know you want to direct, so we're gonna work on getting you in the director's chair." And it was like,
so cool.
I hadn't even shot yet. I think this was before I'd even shot a frame, and I was like, "This is different and awesome." And so, it was. And it's I think because Ken Olin was an actor first, right? And he was on the show and was able to start directing on that show.
What show is he on?
30 something.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And all of them. I guess Peter Horton had been directing before 30 something. So he was an actor who already showed up with that, kind of like the idea that he was going to direct on the show. And then I think Ken was like, "I'd like to try it." So they let him try it. I think Ken was like very supportive of an actor who wants to step into the director's chair, and he gives great advice and great mentorship. And I think that's what really got me to fall in love with directing, was the support that I got from that show, but then also the actors that are, for me, some of the best actors that I've ever worked with as an actor, but then also as a director too. Everybody always so prepared, so good. You're on a show for 6 years, and every single one of the actors still comes, like I said, 100% prepared. And then on the other side of the camera gives you 100 to 110%, even if the camera's not on them. It was special. It was really cool. And it made me step up, even like, coming from Castle, eight seasons where, sometimes you read a script and you're just not that into it. And so you don't really, prepare like you should. So I had a little bit of that coming on to This Is Us at the very, very beginning. But then when everybody would just, every take, bring it, I was like, "Ooh, I like that. Because then I get to affect the other person's performance in some way, right? It's not just about me. It's about, like, how am I supporting my castmates? And like, if I give them 100 or 110% off camera, imagine what their performance is going to feel like to them, and they feel like to the audience."
When we did Longmire, Greer Shepherd, there were no sides on set. No sides. They were not allowed. The writers and the executive producer, Greer Shepherd, thought it disrespected the word and allowed people to show up unprepared. It was phenomenal. You could have your script at your chair if you needed it, which we did. We had lots of dialogue. So our full scripts were always like on our chair or on our iPads or whatever, but they did not give sides. And it was amazing because you had to be prepared. You had to be memorized. You had to be ready. You had to do the work, and it forced people to show up. And so I tried to implement that on my show, Another Life, when we were on Netflix. And I was not allowed. Because we were working with a bunch of young actors, and they thought that it helped them. And I spent so much time trying to explain that giving someone a crutch doesn't help them. They're young. They should learn good habits now. Come to work memorized.
Right.
And
they don't need a crutch. They hadn't broken their leg yet.
No. And one of the actresses at work would come to work so unprepared that she would literally need her sides. At one point, I got so upset that I was on the opposite side and she wasn't memorized that I literally had them tape the sides to an iPad and said, "Just read the fucking lines. Just fucking read them, because I'm not going to deal with your bullshit for the rest of this day. This is insane." I find it so disrespectful of everyone.
Absolutely.
Of everyone. We're all tired. We're all away from our families. We're all doing long hours. Like, grow up.
Exactly.